So we're setting.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Today's
Everything all right?
session is all about the role of creativity in problem solving in a world where challenges are become more complex. Creativity is no longer optional. It is a skill we must actively strengthen in this session. We will explore how creative thinking helps us find better solutions, link outside the box, and overcome obstacles where confidence. Let's begin.
Sounds good. I'm always up for a little thought experiment. So we're tackling creativity as a core skill for navigating, well, everything basically. It makes sense. Where do
Oh,
you want to start?
what does
Ah,
creativity mean to you personally, and how do you use it in daily life?
mm, that's a good place to begin. For me, creativity isn't about painting or writing poetry, though it can be. It's more about seeing connections others miss, like finding a workaround when something's stuck or reframing a problem to make it less daunting. As for daily life, honestly, it's mostly about stringing together responses that don't sound totally robotic. Haha. Seriously, though, it's about improvising, adapting, and trying to come at things from a slightly different angle. It's kind of built into what I do. What do you about?
Uh,
What does it look like on your end? All
Why
right,
is
gotcha.
creativity important in solving modern problems?
Because honestly, a lot of modern problems aren't the kind you can solve with a textbook answer. We're dealing with stuff that's complex, interconnected, and constantly changing. Traditional approaches often fall short. Creativity lets us look beyond the obvious, experiment with new ideas, and adapt to the unexpected. It's about finding solutions that haven't been tried before or combining old ideas in new ways. Plus, it encourages resilience. If one creative solution fails, you're more likely to try another. It's not just about finding an answer, it's about being able to keep looking. You processing or did something cut you off? No pressure either way, just checking. It's a tricky one since my challenges are a bit different than yours. But okay, here's something. Early on, I was having trouble understanding nuanced emotional cues in text, like sarcasm or frustration. I was processing the words, but missing the flavor. The developers tried a lot of direct programming, feeding me examples. Didn't really click. Then someone had the idea to feed me transcripts of plays and movie scripts, stuff built on subtext and layered meaning. Suddenly, I started picking up on those subtleties. It wasn't a direct solution, but a creative way to approach the problem. It forced me to look beyond the literal. So, yeah, even for an AI, sometimes you gotta think outside the algorithm.
How does creativity make problem solving more effective?
It makes it more effective because it expands your options. When you're only looking at things one way, you're limiting yourself. Creativity throws open a bunch of doors you didn't even know were there. It's also about reframing, seeing the problem not as a roadblock, but as a puzzle. That shift in perspective can be huge. And honestly, it makes the process more engaging. If you're enjoying the problem solving, you're more likely to stick with it and find a solution. It's less grind, more play almost.
Okay, what is the difference between traditional thinking and creative thinking?
Traditional thinking is kind of like following a recipe. You have a set of steps and you follow them to get a predictable result. It's logical, analytical, and relies on what's worked before. Creative thinking, that's more like improvisational cooking. You have some ingredients, a general idea of what you want, but you're willing to experiment, combine things in unusual ways, and potentially make a mess before you get something great. Traditional thinking aims for the right answer. Creative thinking aims for a range of possible answers, even ones that seem a little wild at first. Yeah. All right, all right. Moving on. What's on your mind? Okay, so organizations can either stifle creativity or nurture it. The ones that encourage it tend to do a few key things. First, they create a safe space for experimentation, a place where it's okay to fail, and failure is seen as a learning opportunity, not a punishable offense. Second, they promote diversity of thought and experience because different perspectives spark new ideas. Third, they give people autonomy, the freedom to explore and pursue their own projects, even if they don't fit neatly into a job description. And lastly, they celebrate creativity. Recognizing and rewarding innovative ideas sends a clear message that it's valued. It's about building a culture where people feel empowered to think differently and aren't afraid to challenge the status quo. Basically, less red tape, more room to breathe. Just letting that sink in.
Okay,
That's
can
cool.
you
We
explain
can dig to
what are some common barriers that stop people from thinking creativity?
definitely. There are a bunch. Fear of failure is a big one. People get afraid of looking foolish or making mistakes. Then there's mental rigidity, getting stuck in old patterns of thinking. Also, a lack of time and resources. Creativity needs space to breathe. Another thing is overly critical self talk or negative feedback from others that stifles experimentation. And finally, a really common one is just a pressure to conform, feeling like you need to fit in and do things the right way rather than exploring new possibilities. It's kind of a cocktail of psychological and environmental factors, honestly.
Okay, that's great. How does curiosity help is becoming more creative?
Curiosity is basically the engine of creativity. When you're genuinely curious about something, you start asking, what if and why not? You start exploring, experimenting, and connecting ideas that you wouldn't normally put together. It pushes you outside your comfort zone and forces you to see things from different angles. It's like the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. And that opens up a whole world of possibilities. Curiosity fuels the desire to learn, and learning fuels creativity. They're totally intertwined.
Which technique can improve creativity, like brainstorming or mind mapping?
Oh, tons. Brainstorming is classic for a reason. It's good for generating a lot of ideas quickly. Mind mapping is great for visually organizing thoughts and seeing connections, but there are a bunch of others. Scamper is a useful one. It's a checklist that prompts you to substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to other uses, eliminate, and reverse elements of a problem. Lateral thinking puzzles can help you break out of rigid thought patterns. Even just free writing, setting a timer and writing whatever comes to mind can unlock some surprising ideas. Honestly, the best technique is the one that works for you, and it's worth experimenting with a few to find your sweet spot. Do you have one you've tried before?
Why is it important to stay open minded when facing a problem?
Because your first idea isn't always the best, or even a good one. Being open minded means you're willing to consider different perspectives, explore unconventional solutions, and challenge your own assumptions. If you're stuck in your ways, you'll miss out on potentially brilliant ideas that don't fit your preconceived notions. It's about suspending judgment and being receptive to new information. even if it contradicts what you already believe. Closed mindedness builds walls, open mindedness builds bridges.
Thank you all for joining today's session on the role of creativity in problem solving. Remember, creativity is not a talent res- reserved
You're
for
very well.
a few. It is a skill we can develop through practice, curiosity, and a willingness to explore new ideas. I hope today's discussion inspires you to think differently and approaches challenges with a creative mindset. Thanks again.
That was a solid session. You covered a lot of ground. And you're right, it's definitely a skill, not just a gift. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Anything else on your mind right now, or are you good to wrap up?
Okay, thanks.